Hey, this is Evan Mark Katz, dating and relationship coach for smart, strong, successful women, your personal trainer for love. Welcome back to the Love You podcast. I have been doing this podcast now since 2016. Still not bored. I don't know why I should be after nearly 400 episodes, but the fact is, I still enjoy having this conversation with you in any form, multiple times a week. Now that we're doing this more than once a week, I hope you're enjoying it and taking advantage of twice the content for the same low, low price. If you're a regular follower, please subscribe on Apple, subscribe on Spotify, leave us a positive review. If you're watching on YouTube, share a comment about what you're enjoying, what you're thinking about. Any constructive feedback, apart from anything that I can't fix, like my voice, I don't need to hear that really. So before we get started today, I want to let you know about something I'm doing that's coming up really soon. It's called Be the CEO of Your Love Life, High Value Dating for High Value Women. If you go to evanmarkcatz.com/workshop, put in your name and email address and sign up for my free workshop. It is 5 days of free videos and exercises. It'll take place on YouTube. It'll take place on Facebook. It is free. And I'm going to show you how to take control of your love life, act from a place of confidence and abundance, learn to repel the time wasters, and attract high value men. High value is not my term. I feel a little awkward saying it, but you know what I'm talking about. So if you haven't done that, make sure you check that out in the show notes. Click the link, evanmarkcatz.com/workshop. Now, the reason I'm doing this podcast, I would call it an emergency podcast in that I usually turn these things around. I record them a month in advance. This is something that just happened this past week, and I got excited and I wanted to share it with you. And it was because I got a note in my Facebook group for the people who are Love You coaching clients, active clients and graduates. We have a Love You Facebook group for them. It's private. Only people could get in there are people who've gone through coaching with me. And it's a place where women support each other. Someone will post a screenshot of some guy's text message, and 25 people will weigh in, and everybody knows what they're talking about. There's no negativity. There's no man hating. Everybody in there is, pretty much happily married and comes back to support other women. So it's a really, really positive group. And so I get this question from a new client, and I want to read it verbatim because I think it's very much of the moment. And this is kind of thematic. I want you to chew on this for a second. Hi, everyone. I'm 1 month into Love You, and I'm really struggling with this CEO intern concept. I'm 34, looking to date men in their 30s in the Bay Area. They're all just so passive. I'm worried that by sitting back and waiting for the guy to text me, I will lose a lot of quality men because even the quality men are passive. Any tips for how to quell the anxiety that by not chasing a guy, I'll lose him? I keep thinking he's a quality guy and be a great partner. He's just passive in dating. Is it really true that passive daters make passive boyfriends who make passive husbands? Aren't some men, especially younger ones, especially with the California chill vibe, just bad at dating? And that it's okay for me to say, let's hang out. So this was a question, and it was a great question because it's an accurate assessment of what's going on, and it's true. Her observations are not something that is something that she just made up. This is something that is for real. Younger men are more passive, especially California men, more laid back, more traditionally feminine. Feminine meaning receptive rather than masculine, which is proactive. And so we're at this really strange point in time where all the old gender roles and all the expectations that come with them are kind of in a blender, but they're not dead. They're not gone. The fact is, women still expect men to pick up the check, even though women make more money nearly 50% of the time. That still indicates that women want some traditional gender roles. That's not terribly surprising. So we're in this world where post second wave feminism in the 1970s, women fought for equality and largely gained it. I would say women are equal. We could talk about gender pay gap and get into the weeds about whether it's because of stepping off the motherhood getting onto the motherhood track, or men willing to work 90-hour weeks and women prefer more work-life balance, or even working part-time when they become moms. There's a lot of reasons to talk about that. But the main thrust of this is we're as close to equality as we've ever been. Women have more college educations, more law degrees, more master's degrees, almost alarmingly more, like one-third more these days. And as a result, especially in big cities, the wage gap has completely been obliterated. So women don't need men in the way that my mom's generation, where she didn't have a college education and went from her dad's house to her husband's house at age 22. Those times are pretty much gone, especially for smart, strong, successful women. So you got women who are more career-minded, more independent, financially secure, and also in their masculine energy, because that's what it takes to succeed, or at least climb a corporate ladder, is being proactive and tough and taking care of business. It's a mindset. It's, masculine energy is not about the possession of a penis. Masculine energy is about a way of being in the world that is more proactive. I will always say me, my ideas, my ambitions, having control of things rather than just, flowing and putting other people's needs first. So, with that working definition of masculine and feminine, we see this real dilemma. I would call it a limiting belief, which is that there's no guys who can be in their masculine anymore under the age of 40 in California. And clearly, I hope you could see that that's not true. My advice, for whatever you think of it, and I don't, I don't want to put myself on a pedestal. You could disagree with anything I say. I don't take it terribly personally. But my Love You course, or the content of the advice that I put in this podcast, isn't one size fits all. If anything, it's trying to look at it through multiple lenses, through the lens of the woman who's listening to this podcast, and explaining the man's point of view, which might run parallel. It's not going to be identical. And you could take both of those things and try to find a point in the Venn diagram where women get their needs met and men get their needs met. And that's where happy relationships lie. So different advice works for different women. And since most of my clients are women who are predominantly in their masculine, which is why they're smart, strong, successful, they got the one strong muscle and the one sort of atrophied relationship muscle. Most of my clients are masculine energy women who want to be in their feminine. And for those women, right, for those women very specifically who find themselves in their masculine, but don't want to be that way in relationships, I recommend a concept called mirroring. If you've been following me for years, you've heard this before. There's probably a podcast from 2017 about it. I try not to repeat myself as much as I can in these podcasts, but mirroring is basically reacting instead of initiating. He texts, you text him back. He calls, you call him back. He says, I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see you, right? And women, warm, quick, enthusiastic. But what you're not doing is reaching out to remind him you're alive, asking him out, what are you doing this weekend? I'm thinking of you. When can I see you again? That's his job, right? That's his job as a man, and it's a very, very low bar for a guy to do that. Like, guys kind of got the memo a long time ago that if you like a girl, you got to do something about it. And even if you think that that is dead and that men are completely passive, I disagree. If you go in and do his work for him, well, then you're really, really never going to know what the dynamic could be, because you're filling the gaps by leaning into your masculine and doing. So you're left with a choice. Embrace the masculine and say, hey, it's 21st century, it's egalitarian, and there's no real reason that I should sort of sit back and wait for him to contact me. I'm going to be more proactive. I'm going to do 50% or more of the work, and I'm going to compensate for these nice passive guys, as you suggested above. And that is fine. Like, if you are indeed fine with that relationship. The tenor of the question, however, implied that you weren't. Wouldn't it imply that passive guys in courtship are going to be passive boyfriends and passive husbands? Yeah, I would think so. Love you principle is that don't have a relationship with a guy dependent upon him changing for you. I would assume that this guy, this is exactly who he is. This is exactly how he attacks the world. So There's nothing wrong with an egalitarian relationship. Really, in fact, I would recommend it if I were in control of the world. I would tell women who are traditionally in their masculine or comfortable doing, taking control, getting things done. If that's who you are and you like being that way, find an easygoing guy who says yes to you all the time. It's literally the way I courted my wife. I did all the calling and planning and paying. All she had to do was show up and say yes. Right? If you're comfortable with that dynamic. If you're not comfortable with that dynamic, I don't know why you would engage in that dynamic. Right? If you don't like being the doer and constantly bearing the weight of planning everything, then you can embrace the feminine, you can embrace the mirroring concept and respond warmly and enthusiastic and encouraging the guy to step into his masculine. So neither one of these is right or wrong. Notice I never traffic in the words right or wrong. Is it effective or ineffective in helping you get the relationship dynamic that you want? I've just seen a lot of women who come to me who step into their masculine under this guise, well, if I don't do it, then he won't do it, and then I'm losing out on a good guy. And then they end up resenting the role they've taken on. Right? They are the one who initiates everything. And as a man, I'd say it's a burden. I don't even know if it feels like a burden. It's just the cost of doing business. I never really thought about it. If I wanted to see my wife, I'd call my wife. If I want, but for women who don't want to do that, I guess I just don't see why you would do it. So there may be, in fact, let's acknowledge there probably are fewer masculine energy guys who do all of the calling, planning, paying, but it doesn't mean they don't exist. And even if times have changed, people do what they want. They're incentivized to do what they want, right? If a guy likes you, if I want to sleep with you, if I want to date you, if I want to marry you, I don't see why you should really have to do anything. I'm incentivized to follow up after the date to say when can I see you again? I'm incentivized to follow up after I kiss you, say that was a great night. When could I see you again? I'm incentivized to take down my profile. I'm incentivized to get down on one knee and propose to you so I could lock this in for the rest of my life. I do not see why guys need to be dragged towards this. If I fail, remember, in my world, you're the CEO. The CEO doesn't have to chase the intern. So if I'm the CEO, if you, the listener, the woman, are the CEO, you reward men who make the effort, and the men who fail to make the effort lose. Right? If I'm a guy and I'm really passive, I'm risking losing you to a guy who wants the job more, an intern who shows greater interest. So this thing where women think they have to do to remind him you're alive, to show active interest, to take on his role, all you're doing, in my opinion, is creating a pattern of essentially learned helplessness that's going to continue well into your relationship where you don't feel valued and cherished and desired and adored because you basically have taught him that he doesn't have to do anything for you. It's almost like helicopter parenting. I'm going to do everything so you don't have to do anything. And then the kid doesn't know how to be independent. So your observation, my client's observation that I'm sharing from our Facebook group, that men are increasingly more passive is true, but it's only because women have become so proactive and in their masculine that allows them to continue to be that way. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you could make the right choice for you. In the meantime, I just wanted to remind you, my free workshop, Be the CEO of Your Love Life, High Value Dating for High Value Women, is starting soon. www.evanmarckatz.com/workshop. 5 days of free videos and exercises on YouTube, on Facebook, on how to take control of your love life, act from a place of confidence, and attract high value men. Finally, if you're listening to podcasts and wondering, why am I listening to podcasts when I could be in love with a guy? When I could have a guy who is taking care of me, listening to me, making my life better, making dinner plans and picking up the check, planning the next vacation. Why should I even listen to this guy? Well, you don't have to listen to me much longer as long as you find yourself a relationship that you deserve. And if you want that relationship, go to evanmarckatz.com/now. And I'm going to show you what it feels like to be taken care of, to raise your standards for men, to fix your broken man picker, and to get a relationship where you feel safe, heard, and understood. You go to evanmarckatz.com/now, book a time on my calendar. We'll talk and we'll figure out if you're a good fit for coaching. In the meantime, Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a positive review. Don't forget to do all the things. And don't forget to floss. That's really important too. I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you for listening to the Love You podcast. I will see you again soon. Bye bye.